guys! So today what I thought I'd do is share some of my favourite films and books, because I asked about questions that you'd like to ask me in my last video, and those were some of the main ones that I got asked, and I have quite a few to share, so I thought I'd do that today. So let's get started. First question I got asked was from Maddie, and her question is, what do you like to do for fun? Now, I think there's quite a few things I like to do for fun, but I don't think they're necessarily very unique things. So I love to watch and make YouTube. I love to read if I get the time, because school is quite time consuming. I also love to do karate, which is what I do with my dad, which is quite a nice family thing. But I also, especially in summer, I love to go outside and just spend time outside. And if I can, listen to podcasts, because that's really nice. So the second question I got asked was sort of asked by two people. So it was asked by, Linda, and also by Izzy of the Past. And their question was, what are my top films of all time? Now, there are quite a few, I think. First of all, we have Birdman. And it's just really, really awesome. Like, it's quite a complex film. Like, the characters are really, I don't think you ever completely understand the characters, and I think that's part of the magic of it. And it's definitely one of those films where you sort of don't really understand what's happening whilst you're watching it, and then it leaves you and you're just like, whoa, what did I just watch? Okay, right. Another film, sort of series I absolutely love is Narnia. And I think it's just because it's such a beautiful, just the way it's put together and the stories and the characters. I just love the way that it develops, and it's so good versus evil, and the soundtrack as well. It just makes the entire thing so much better. So yes, Narnia. The next one I have is A Man Asleep, which I actually made a video about, and I think you can check it. I don't know which way around this is going to go, so it's in one of the corners. Click on one of the corners. But I actually made a video about it, and it's a French film which has subtitles, but it's one of the most mind-blowing films I think I've watched, because it's very unstereotypical, because it basically follows a man throughout his life, and he doesn't really interact with everyone else, so the only real narrative you have is the narrator, and she's sort of like talking through the man and the way he's living, and it's absolutely incredible. Definitely go and recommend that. Okay, next one I have, I actually watched quite a long time ago, but it's About Time. And I think it's just one of the sweetest films I think I've watched. And it's both complex, but also really simply joyful. And I would thoroughly recommend it. So those are all my favourite films of all time. So I'll put the IMDb linkages in the description below. The next question, which was also from Izzy of the Past, is, what were some of my favourite childhood films? And I have to say, there are quite a few. I think it goes without saying that Harry Potter was definitely one of my favourite childhood films, because the films led me to read the books. Like, I think it was Philosopher's Stone which definitely got me to read the books. I don't think I've, even up until today, completely finished the movies. But yeah, Harry Potter was definitely a big part of my childhood, because obviously it got me into reading, and even now continues to inspire me to read. Now, the next few films can be found on here. So we have Home Alone, which I first watched with my cousins, which was such an amazing experience. But I think it's just such a classic, especially around Christmas. Second one, I think less so Ice Age, but more so Garfield, because I think Garfield was one of the films which I just found really quotable and just really funny. And it's such a great childhood film, I think. The last couple I think I'd like to share with you. Number one is Fly Away Home, which I don't think many people have heard of, but I watched it with my childminder when I was really small. And it's just such a sweet story about learning how to belong, but also just magic, because it's about a girl who loses her mum, goes to live with her dad who she's never really met before, but basically becomes the mother of geese. Now, I'll just leave it there. Definitely go and check it out. And I think the last few films that I absolutely love are the Roald Dahl films, so mainly Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because they were just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And it's just quite funny because I think we got the VCR for the VCR of Matilda when we were 8 for our birthday from one of our friends. But my parents thought it was such an absurd film that wouldn't teach us anything that they actually got it out of the house. Because I think we were watching it quite a lot as well, but they just didn't think we could learn anything from it, and I just found that absolutely hilarious. The next question that we have is from one of my favourite people, and that is Pat Schaefer. And her question is, what is my favourite book to film adaptation? Now, I have quite a few, because obviously we have Narnia. This is the Prince Caspian book that I've been trying and failing to get through, which is awesome. We also have Harry Potter, because Harry Potter, although obviously you can't get all the detail, I think the films themselves just have such an awesome atmosphere that you can't really go wrong with it. And I think the last one, I'm going to count it anyway, and this is also going to answer, I'm afraid I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm just going to put it there. Their question, which was, what book are you reading at the moment? And that is this monster here, War and Peace. Now, what actually got into... Ooh, I'll put this to the side for now. What actually got me into watching War and Peace? Reading War and Peace was the BBC miniseries that they did earlier this year. And it's won... I think it's going to win a load of awards, because obviously that is such a big book, and it's, you know, renowned for being a monster to read. But it was so beautifully done, and I think I'll put some screen caps here, because it was just absolutely phenomenal to watch, and I'm really enjoying reading the book. The other question that that person had was, do I have a Goodreads account? Now, I made one quite a few years ago, I think, but I just found it, you know, I think it's just because I never really got into it, but I think it's really good for finding reviews. So definitely, for anything else, use Goodreads to find reviews. Really good. Actually, I did actually mention my favourite book to film adaptation, and that is actually the adaptation of... Oh god, I would put this further away than I thought. The BBC adaptation of Jane Eyre. Now, I don't know how many people have actually watched this outside of Britain, but it basically has Mia Wasikowska and Michael Fassbender, and it's just so beautifully done, because they get the chemistry just right, and even though they don't include all the elements of the book, I just found it absolutely entrancing, and I think they really captured the core of it really well. So this video has gotten longer than I expected it to, but thank you so much for all your questions. If you have anything that is related to less favourite related things and more, I don't know, other questions they might have, feel free to leave them in the description below. If you left questions on the last video that were unrelated to favourites, don't worry, I haven't forgot about them. I'm going to do them in another video. So, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful time doing what you're doing, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.